Greetings and welcome to the Quantum Ogre Cast, the topical TTRPG podcast you were destined to encounter no matter what choices you make. I have two very special guests today, Ron and Phil of the Philly Area Gaming Expo. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Doing great. I hope we can talk about some GURPS on this program.
I think we will. I think you're letting the folks behind the scenes just a little bit here, but there will definitely be some GURPS talk. In fact, we have a great episode ahead of us. We have a lot of topics we're going to cover. Everything from like just the nostalgia of gaming, how we got into gaming, what the con looks like at Page, and stuff like that. And I'm super excited to get into this. So without further ado, here we go. Thank you guys for being here. I feel like people always ask the same sort of questions in interviews, so I try to find questions that I think are going to throw people off just a little bit. So you might have to cook on this one for a second, but what was your third TTRPG you ever played? Not your first, not your second, but your third. And different editions of D&D don't count. I'm going to be a little bit mean on this one. There you go.
I know what it is. I know what mine is.
Go for it.
Okay, Ron, you go first because I know one and I know two. I have to think about three for a second.
It was Gamma World.
Gamma World. Okay. I only know about that one because of the Aliens, Monsters, and Holes in the Ground book. I haven't actually played it, but
Thanks for making me feel ancient. Appreciate that.
it basically is a history book.
Do you treat all your guests as well?
Yeah, every one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Making sure.
I have to knock everyone down a peg so that I look good during the interviews,
Man, I'm still thinking. It's like I played D&D for so long, and then back in the day, then we transitioned to MERPs, Middle Earth role playing for a little bit. My buddies and I, which was
You're still trying to reconcile the first combat you were in using the MERP rules.
Right. It was, yeah, right. Esoteric, to say the least. And then I just went back to D&D for years and years and years. So I want to say, like, probably it's been relatively recent in, like, the last probably 4 or 5 years or so. I would say it's probably number 3. Like, we just played D&D, like, and just different editions of D&D. Like, we just went 1 to 1 to 1, the next one. It's probably, like, Morkborg or Pathfinder or something like that.
Not so is MERPs related to GURPS, or is it just they just sound similar?
Now, MERP is MERP, and it stands for Middle Earth Role Playing.
Okay.
GURPS is GURPS, which stands for Generic Universal Role Playing.
Yeah. Didn't know if it was the same.
They're both horrible systems, so we'll just go from there.
Yeah, MERPs is the OG Tolkien attempt at a Tolkien role-playing game, which is from the 80s. It is just like,
hold on, there's a knock at my door. Hold on, let me see who this is.
Yeah, go for it.
He's like, he probably has MERPs like right there next.
I was gonna say
it's a lawsuit from Steve Jackson.
I was gonna say
I've been served.
Phil from my Discord is going to already be in the comments getting at you for calling GURPS a terrible game because that's like his favorite system. So there's at least one commenter that's going to just
for every Phil there's 2 other Phils who've played GURPS.
Exactly. Yeah. I haven't actually played GURPS, so I can't talk too bad about it.
Played GURPS Horse Clans, because GURPS needed a specific Horse Clans supplement.
Oh yeah.
Or GURPS Wild Cards. Yes, GURPS Wild Cards. Let's not forget that classic.
That is the one thing that I do know specifically about GURPS is there is just an endless list of splat books for it, for any conceivable setting, style of play, genre. I mean, you name it, and GURPS has a book.
Nobody's played any of them. They still got them sitting in the same milk crate they went into when they first bought them in the discount bin at their local game store in 1989. Yes, right next to their Torg supplements that they bought. That they said, "This game's awesome. I can't wait to play this." and still sitting there,
I
probably in mint condition too.
Am I wrong in
Always.
I could yeah, exactly. I could have sworn I heard in the last like 5 or 6 months or so that they're updating GURPS. It's not an edition update. It's like a reformatting of the fourth edition.
Well, after Phil, the GURPS fan, sent Steve Jackson 130 emails from 130 different Gmail accounts demanding a new edition of GURPS. Steve thought that there was a new push for it. So, boy,
Phil,
is he going to be disappointed.
Phil's gonna have a heyday with this episode. I love it.
Yeah.
He's going to be like, I'm wronged.
Yeah.
Who is
Yeah.
this guy? He's mean.
He's,
Yeah.
he's definitely not.
The Area Gaming Expo.
Yeah, exactly. He's not coming to page 3 or page 4. That's for sure.
I'm right, by the way. GURPS fourth edition is getting a revision. This was from 2 months ago. So yeah.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. New
No,
GURPS.
I'm on the Ian World news. I'm on the Ian World forum, so I'm sure other people.
Was that a Friday at 2 p.m. Press release dump?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to pretend I don't have a bookshelf full of games that just sit there and collect dust that I don't ever get to play. So I have my own GURPS.
Yeah, that's what.
What's on your GURP shelf? I want to hear what's there.
Oh man, Lancer is sitting there staring me in the face.
That's a good one.
I want to play it. It's not because I don't want to. I just got to find the right people. As much as I like Lord of the Rings, I think I'm probably the only one that would, in my local group, that would want to play the One Ring role playing game. Man, I mean, the list goes on, but I've got all these weird ones. I've got like a dozen different Borgs at this point, and all I ever play is Pirate Borg. So, that's my GURPS.
Yeah. We're looking for, well, that's not GURPS. It's actually rules light, easy to play. Very cutting edge art. You gotta like that.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to Ragnaborg at Page.
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm gonna get to play it, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I'm signed up in one of Erica's games to play. I'll see how I'm
Where's this at?
A Page.
You're signed up to play games at Page?
I'm signed up to play games at Page.
The director of operations of Page has time in his Page schedule to play games. I just want to confirm this.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not running any games like I was last year because that really did get in the way.
Jordan, we're going to give you breaking news. Phil, you're fired.
All right, I know what my thumbnail is going to be. Oh man, I'd be kind of worried if you weren't playing some kind of role-playing games at your own con, because you go to a restaurant and they're not eating their own food. That's usually a bad sign, So
listen, I have my own Ragnaborg game that I've snuck away to play a game while at Page as well. My own like dirty little pleasure. Evan Borup, the designer of the Smurf role-playing game, will be there, and I'm going to play in one of his games.
Did you say Smurfs?
Smurfs. Role-playing game, yes. I actually bought from Croatia. Somebody took Games Workshop Snotlings, painted them blue, put little Smurf clothes on them and Smurf hats. They molded them on, including a Papa Smurf with a beard, and made an entire miniature diorama of Snotlings converted to Smurfs.
Just when you think you've heard it all.
I found it online and bought it from Croatia. And it is now in my collection. I'm very excited about it. Big Smurfs fan.
Yeah, Jordan, what you may not know is, like, Ron is a massive Smurfs fan.
I did not know this.
Massive Smurfs fan.
There's no way I could have known this.
It's communist first of all, you have to understand about the Smurfs. The whole thing's communist propaganda from the 80s, early 80s, right?
Yeah.
They all, for the cartoon and the comic before that from the 60s, they all dress the same. Every person has their own job. Their monetary system is broken down into food. in the form of Smurf berries. There's one supreme leader, and Papa Smurf is the only one who dresses differently, right? Okay, and Gargamel and Azrael are the capitalists. First, they want to turn the Smurfs to gold, just like all free market economies want to turn the communist hard work and manufacturing into gold for themselves, right? The whole propaganda. And then when that was a little too much, the Smurfs just wanted to eat, or I'm sorry, Gargamel and Azrael just wanted to eat the Smurfs. So that's
eat the rich.
The rich wanting to consume the comrade communists. So yeah, it was ingratiated in me.
Just when I think I've turned
They only had
over.
one woman though, and that was a little weird.
Same with Tolkien, right? There's like one female protagonist in the entire series, but I guess that's a sign of the times. But I was gonna say, just when I think I've turned over every possible rock as far as like TTRPG stuff out there, you learn that there's a Smurfs RPG, and that's
Hasn't been fulfilled yet.
Yeah, the Kickstarter was very recent.
Yeah, I mean, well, in elf years, it's recent. I mean, I've been waiting for it for a year and a half now, and it's still not out yet. So, there's no promise that Kevin Borup's not going to be thrown to the ground and beaten about the head and torso for copies of the full-blown RPG when he shows up.
Well, let's hope not. That's
That
is it sounds like a game that would have come out in the 80s with all those other sort of like IPs like G.I. Joe and Transformers and all that stuff, but all that stuff's having a resurgence. If there's a niche.
What IP didn't come out in the 80s, Phil? Go ahead, give it to him. Your favorite that there's not an RPG about.
My art.
You have a T-shirt. You have a T-shirt about it.
Yeah, like the IP that Hasbro even owns, that has never been turned into an RPG is the Inhumanoids. It's my favorite cartoon from the 80s. It's a little bit of a deep cut. I'm sure there's some in your audience that are familiar with it.
I'm sure.
And if you're out there in the audience, you can watch. I think
that dude Phil who plays Gurps knows exactly what it is.
He probably does. He's probably a huge fan of it as well. But I gotta say, like, if you watch the cartoon, and it's one of those traditional, if you grew up in the 80s when it was still legal to create cartoons literally as advertisements for toys.
Yep.
And then I think it was in 1986. I think literally, I don't know why I know that. Like, they passed a federal law that said you can't do that anymore. But up until that point, it was completely legal to do that. And that was Transformers, G.I. Joe, Masters of the Universe, Mask,
I was going to say,
Mask.
I think that's how He-Man came to be, right? Because they had Conan toys. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But in Humanoids, folks, I think you can go on YouTube and watch all of it's like all looped together. You can watch all of the episodes because there was only like 2 seasons of it. It is dark. It is dark. And the story behind that is they knew they got canceled. The cartoonists knew they got canceled, and so they like made it the last couple episodes like really dark. I remember watching it as like an 11, 12-year-old kid. I'm like people are getting like melted and their skin being melted and like bone zombies and all this stuff. And I'm like, Saturday morning cartoons.
The good old days.
Yeah, it's the best.
You knew when we got 3 old dudes together, we were going to start talking about the good old stuff that isn't around anymore. It's bound to happen.
He doesn't like living in the past a little bit.
It's that nostalgia bait, All right, to shift the subject just a hair from Smurfs and Inhumans.
Humanoids.
Humanoids. Sorry, thank you for the correction there.
Inhumans is a Marvel comic.
Okay, I did not know that either. I had my comic phase. I got really into. Now I'm going to go on my own deep dive. There was a reboot of all the Valiant comics. I don't know if you are familiar with those, like Exo Man of War and Archer and Armstrong, all those. Anyways, any comic I've ever gotten into gets canceled for whatever reason. I always seem to cherry pick the ones that end up just never getting finished. So that's the end of that story. But but hopefully the same is not true of the TTRPGs that I get into, because a lot of these TTRPGs, especially these newer indie ones, have a lot of life to them right now, which is exciting. I don't know about you guys, I feel like we're in a golden age of RPGs. I've said it before on my channel, and I'm curious to know either like how did you guys get into RPGs, or were you in the past and did you just suddenly have like a resurgence as well, where you were brought back, or have you always just kind of been following what's been going on?
Well, for me, I started playing when I was like 10 or 11 years old. I grew up in southern New Jersey, very rural part of southern New Jersey, like the Pine Barrens. And there's nothing to do. There was no town center. There were no stores. There's nothing. You had to ride your bike like 6 miles to get even to anywhere that was like even remotely like a town.
Uphill in the snow,
And
right?
well, no, I mean it's really true. And there were only a few kids within a couple mile radius, and two of them lived maybe a quarter of a mile from me. One was a little older than me. His younger brother's a little younger than me, and the older brother got D&D stuff for Christmas one year, and they said, "Hey, you want to play D&D?" So we did. Started with advanced D&D and was like immediately hooked, like because it was fascinating. Because other than that, I mean, when I tell you, literally, we spent our time like wild children roaming vast forest lands. I mean, vast, like not an acre of forest. We're talking thousands of acres of forest. That's all we did was run around in the woods and throw rocks at the one highway, this one 2-lane road that went cut through the center of where we lived. Like we were up to no good. That probably kept me from being a really bad kid. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Was immediately hooked. Started getting my own stuff, and that's talking 1980 or 81. I never stopped playing,
Yeah.
really. I took a job overseas for a while. There weren't a lot, nobody playing D&D there, but I took that time and I literally wrote notebooks full of adventures and just NPC descriptions, monsters, pages and pages of adventure ideas and hooks, just 1 and 2 page summaries. So it's always stuck with me since day one.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, it's I've been playing a while now. I'm a little younger than Ron, so but I also started playing at 10. With there were these two kids on the bus, my school, that were sitting in the back of the bus talking in goofy voices, and they were just playing one on one,
Yeah.
you know. And I didn't know what was going on, and they were a year older than me. They lived close to me, and I kind of just like would listen, and they were a little gatekeepy, I will admit. And they're like, no, you can't play. You don't know what's going on here. But I would just sit and watch and listen. And after a while, okay, fine. And I started playing. We played the bus, like on the way to school and on the way home. And then we decided that we were actually going to like really sit down together at a table and play D&D. And they wanted to play. They didn't want to run. So as like an 11 like year old kid, they made me DM. You'll be fine. And they handed me the Village of Hamlet.
Nice.
And we also started with AD&D. Like we didn't start. I have no red box story. It was like AD&D. Like you're running this, and I'm like, okay. And I ran the Village of Hamlet for them, and it was at the kid's house across the street from me. He was one of the kids on the bus, and we played Village of Hamlet, and it like still sticks with me. It's such a great adventure. I think it still stands up to modern sensibilities to a large degree. And then I played from then like all the way through high school, a little bit into college, but it was mostly like summers and Christmas vacations and stuff with my crew at home. And then after college, kind of stopped because we all went our disparate ways for jobs or what have you. Didn't pick it up again until the very, very, very beginning of third edition.
Mm.
And got right back into it. Ron's shaking his head. Got right back into
You
it.
missed the best edition.
No,
You
we played
missed
tons of
second
second.
edition.
No, we played tons of
Okay,
second. We played tons of second.
let's just cut to the chase for those watching. Phil and his friends were totally obsessed with Spellfire.
Yes, fantastic game. Absolutely fantastic
I
game.
don't know this one.
No one other than you ever.
I've never even heard of
Love
this.
it. Spellfire.
I bet you Phil Gurps Phil.
Gurps Phil.
I bet you even he rejected Spellfire.
I'll have
No,
to ask.
fantastic game. Yeah. So real quick, Spellfire was TSR's answer to Magic the Gathering,
Okay.
or at least their attempt to. It was a collectible card game that had all of the most well-known art from the TSR products up until that point, which was mostly second edition art. And I remember, like most kids in the 80s, I got most of my D&D stuff at Walden Books at the mall.
Yeah.
Which is where because they always had like a rack in the back and it was always blah, 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 blah. And one day they had this
right at the back of the center aisle, where it was in every Walden books. You just walk straight back.
Right, straight in the back. And they had this lower kind of they had like the display cases that now go for like a lot of money on the collectibles.
And as a matter of fact, we have one of those shelves in the Page charity auction this year.
Ooh, nice.
Good segue,
That's right.
Phil.
That's right. And they had these bins of these like these cards, like in like packs, like you see like a dice pack sometimes that WotC does. It's like a like a clamshell kind of a thing, and they had these like I'm like what is this? And I'm turning it over and reading. I'm like at that point I knew what Magic was. I'd seen it in a comic book store, and I'm like this is really cool. This looks cool. Like it was a couple bucks. We took it home, and on a kind of like on a lark, we got the rules out and we started reading the rules because we were right in the middle of a D&D campaign. I'm like, well, let's just try this. Let's just try this game. And we played like 2 or 3 sessions of it. And it was like, this actually is not that bad. We got hooked, and we literally, and Ron always makes fun of this, we literally stopped playing D&D for 2 years and played the shit out of Spellfire.
Basically, you lost 2 years of your life to that.
I love that you guys bicker like an old married couple. That's great.
Yeah,
it's a really good dynamic.
Yeah, Spellfire is it warms my heart. Played that in college and everything. And that was prior to my third edition days because third edition wasn't out yet. That was, year 2000 when that came out. But I did skip fourth edition. I didn't play any fourth edition. I got a lot of my role playing game during the fourth edition days. I migrated to Dungeons and Dragons Online, the MMO.
Okay.
That is still active and being actively developed still. It's like the mystery like IP of D&D that like nobody knows about unless you were back in 2006 when the game launched. The game's almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years old in February. And we played that. Me and my buddies played that like a lot. And then my kid was born, and then I had to stop playing MMOs.
Yeah, that'll quickly end any sort of video gaming, extravaganza you might be going on.
Yeah.
I have to admit some things here. I think people who follow my channel might know this, but I'll say it again here. I actually was like forbidden to play D&D when I was younger. I was not allowed. In fact, my friends and I, we would hide our Magic collections, and we would meet in one of my best friend at the time. He had a little sister, and his little sister had an air-conditioned dollhouse behind his grandparents' house. Yeah, they went all out for her. And we would take our cards and or our D&D books that we did have. We would go out to the dollhouse. We'd sneak out there, and we would play out there without anyone knowing what we were doing because we were not allowed to play at all. So I didn't end up getting into like D&D and TTRPGs until much, much later in life, like in my mid to early 20s. So really, I haven't been in the game all that long, but I love hearing people's stories about it because I hovered around it, even though I wasn't allowed to. I'd go to the gaming stores, I'd see all the books, I'd be like, man, I wish I could get into it, and I would like flip through them.
Why weren't you allowed to? Was it religious?
Yeah, it was tail end of the Satanic Panic, and my parents were just really, really against anything that had the word demons anywhere near it.
If you had really thought about it, you would have just moved right on to cocaine.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, listen, it's cocaine or it's D&D. What do you want?
Well, at one point, actually, even in like middle school at the time or early high school, my mom found some of my magic cards and she said, I'm going to throw these out. And I said, Mom, half of my friends are into drugs right now, and I'm spending all the money I have on magic cards. So I could be doing anything, and this is what I'm choosing to spend my money and time on. And she was like, okay, maybe I'll lighten up a little bit. And that was kind of a turning point. But there was a while there I was just not allowed. So
I have a friend who I play D&D with regularly, and I went to some kind of community school up in Staten Island, I believe. There was an issue similar to what you're talking about with magic cards. Some parents got a hold of them, and there was like a big thing, and this whole deal. And really, the parents who got a hold of them and made a big deal about it.
Yeah, look at me now.
Yeah, yeah. Made a big deal about it. They didn't realize that it was my buddy had actually given the cards to like some younger people. He was the whole cause of it. Like they had in school assemblies to, like PTO nights and things like that to get through it. So
yeah, I lived in a very small town in Central Florida, and I remember at the time, this was the level it went to. Just to get real deep in the paint here, but at one point they had decided that like Magic cards, Pokemon cards, any sort of trading cards, they labeled it as gambling. And if you had them on you at school, you would get out of school suspension or something like that just for having them. So they really took it serious for a while there. So, but yeah, I love
Phil and his friends used to play Strip Spellfire. That was really good.
That's where the bands came from.
Yeah, no, that I don't remember. Yeah, I don't even know how you would even play. Yeah. Well, it's probably you can turn anything into like a whatever kind of game if you really wanted to. But
so I was listening in Friday. You guys had Kelsey on the stream, and you guys were talking about. I love, like I was saying, I love to hear all the old stories. And I think Phil, you were talking a bit about how you guys used to like, you'd roll straight down the line for your characters.
Yeah.
You'd pick random classes and stuff like that. And I think that's some of the things I missed out on when I was younger. That now, with the OSR and old school gaming's on the rise and things like Shadow Dark, I have got to dive into some of the feel or the roots of the game, even though I was not present during those eras when those things were really happening. But there's so much like fun emergent sort of play, and just weird things like rolling the wizard with 1 HP, and you're just like trying to survive for as long as you possibly can, all that kind of stuff. I love hearing those stories and the excitement around like the early days of like D&D and stuff like that. And it was just it was fun to tune in and hear you guys talking about some of that.
We didn't do that a lot. It was we used to call it rolling up gimps. Like how gimpy of a character could you roll up?
Yeah.
Like, and just whatever the stats were, they were, and then you couldn't pick a class. Like the class was randomized. Like you'd roll and if you rolled a character that had like a 5 intelligence and you rolled a wizard, guess what? You were playing a 5 intelligence wizard.
Well, that's against the rules, Phil. You have to have a 9 intelligence, minimum intelligence to be a wizard, Phil.
Or whatever.
Cheaters.
Yeah.
Big fat cheaters.
Yeah, and then every time if you leveled your gimp up, you had to multi-class, and that multi-class option was completely random. Or I mean, if you rolled a wizard again, you would get a second level of wizard. It didn't have to be, but chances were you were going to multi-class into something stupid. And those campaigns never lasted long. It was really stupid, and we would, just to see like how long it would last.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is why Phil's things like this history of Phil's gaming history and this stuff coming out now. Now I know why that last when you had the paying GM gig, why they abandoned you after a while.
Yeah, yeah, I had a regular group that was down south. Some guys that found me on Start Playing. I used to do paid GMing, and they found my profile, and we were running D&D, and we never finished the campaign. They just kind of like ghosted me. I would reach out and like, yeah, we want to finish, but they had actually all moved on to playing Pathfinder 2E, which they learned that they liked a lot better because they were super like crunchy build master kind of guys.
Yeah.
So it just was very nice guys. Just
I feel you. I've had some players like that they just, there's a type of player that enjoys the game that happens before you get to the table, where you just get to build characters and theory craft and see what you're going to be at level 20 and stuff like that. And power to those people. I'm glad that there's games for them. I'll just leave it at that.
They when I was running a 5e campaign with them. I was running Dungeons of Drakenheim from the Dungeon Dudes Ghostfire Gaming. And it's a pretty bleak and it's a pretty hardcore campaign, and they would come at me with the craziest builds, like crazy builds. And it wasn't even stuff that they'd seen online. It was all, like you said, theory crafting, like, hey, I want to combine this with this because I think it theoretically might work. Let's see what happens.
And just to not totally dog on it, I will say I enjoyed it for a while there when I was a young single dude, had a lot of free time. I could spend more time than my players could doing all the theory crafting, so I was able to keep them on their toes. But as I got older, had a kid, all that kind of stuff. Now they spend way more time than I ever will learning the ins and outs and the little hacks and things like that. And now it's just like I can't even really challenge them on that same level with it.
Phil tells me all the time, like privately, when we're one-on-one, he tells me all the time how him having his daughter like ruined his gaming life.
It changed my gaming life, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It will.
He says things like, I'm going to spend money on food for her and stuff instead of gaming stuff now.
Yeah, that's true.
Ron, when you have kids, you got to feed them.
Yeah. Or someone gets angry from an official capacity. Yeah, no. Actually, my daughter's 15 now, and I taught her D&D pretty young, and we played for a little while. She kind of bounces off of TTRPGs now. She's more of like a video gamey kid, but she loves RPGs like Zelda. What's that? That's Japanese one that she plays all the time. Amari. Does that sound right? I don't know.
You need to get her Twilight Sword or Fabula Ultima or something.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's like, well, here's the thing, and Ron already knows this. Like, she has a boyfriend now. So, and the boyfriend is he's into geeky stuff. But like she's not into, like, she didn't ask, like, Christmas is around the corner, right? She didn't ask for any new games. Nope. But she'll sit down there in her Switch and bang out on Minecraft all day long, and go through a Zelda phase again. Or if you ever heard of Cult of the Lamb.
Yeah, I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, it's a great game. She'll do that, but she's like, oh, I'm good. I don't need any new games.
Well, yeah. I mean, we all go through those phases. My kid's not old enough to hit a RPG phase or dislike or whatever, but hoping one day she at least has some interest.
I thought you said 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
I mean, Tiger Woods was already a 3 handicap 2.5. What are you waiting for?
She does have a someone bought me as a joke a book for her, and she has like a D&D, one of those gold labeled books or whatever.
Golden book?
Yeah, gold border D&D book where they like go on the ride and then they go into the dragon, and the
There you
dungeon
go.
masters there from the old cartoon and stuff. So she does.
Hi, I'm Dungeon Master.
Yeah, she likes
Are you
Yeah.
it.
bringing
So.
her to Page?
No, it's just gonna be me. My family's staying home. It's too much of a hassle for them, and my wife. My wife's the same way as your kid. She just bounces off of role playing games. She.
Well, my wife too. Yeah, my wife is like,
Listen, there's always
Not-
hope when there's always hope with your second wife that you'll get one that boy can do.
yeah, yeah. My wife and daughter did come to Page last year. I kind of forced them. They
We're
played.
forcing them again this year, right? Or at least
At least my
your
daughter.
daughter. Yeah, your daughter. We're putting your daughter to work.
Yeah, she from yeah.
Yeah,
But
we're
they played
putting her.
Bunnies and Burrows.
Mm.
They played Bunnies and Burrows with Scott Robinson, the one of the creators of the game. And Bunnies and Burrows, for your audience, if you don't know, but I'm sure they're probably well versed in RPG information lore.
I know Phil. I know Gurps Phil
Gurps
is
Phil,
very
probably.
familiar with it because there's a Gurps Bunnies and Burrows supplement.
Oh,
You know,
Of course there is.
Gurps needed a Bunnies and Burrows supplement. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I try to express to my wife and my daughter. I'm like, this was one of the earliest RPGs ever created, and was the first RPG to have a skills system in the game. And this is literally the guy. Like you're sitting at the table. Like there's not a lot of people that are ever going to have this privilege. And they're like, okay, And they played, and I was like, how was it? I was like, it's fine. It's fine.
I will say for the people out there who are listening and they're like, oh, it's just, some people just bounce off of it. It's also, it's the right combination of people you're playing with and system, right? Because
System matters.
it does. Yeah. And just for example, I think one of the reasons my wife really bounced off of TTRPGs to begin with initially is because I used to do this Halloween one shot at a pub. She doesn't like loud places. She doesn't really like games that she doesn't understand. And she also it was 5e, and it was like she was playing a wizard. It was overly complex. All that to say, the next time I really pitched it to her was we played with our family. So it was like my parents and her parents. And we played Shadow Dark, and I ran Waking of Willoughby Hall. And I was like, this is like a kitschy sort of mystery mansion crawl thing. And she had a blast, because she was playing with her family. It was people she liked being around, that kind of thing. So don't give up.
I ran that at Page 2 last year. I ran that at Waking Willoughby Hall Page 2 last year.
That's one of my favorite adventures. It's really fun.
Really good. A lot going on. You gotta beware of the clocks within the game going on because there's a lot of moving parts. But if you can manage all of it, it's really, really good.
Well, before we run out of time here, let's get into the good stuff, the best subject here, which is I want to ask you, what made you guys decide to start your own con?
Well, the con started with Ron. I'm a later addition, so he'll have to hop onto that one.
Well, I run a pretty large community on Facebook, RPG community called the RPG Collectors Discussion and Barter Group. During COVID, I don't know if you remember this, but everybody's just sitting at home, like stressed out over COVID. Are we all going to start turning into zombies and start eating brains and all the things that was going on? But they were also killing each other online. I mean, just attacking one another. And the gaming community was especially bad. Phil used the term earlier, gatekeeping. Mm-hmm. Well, guys like Phil and I were viewed as gatekeepers by newcomers to the hobby for whatever reason. Fat white guys playing D&D in their basement, right? Whereas, a bad element of the old school RPG players were out there saying that the new players, they don't really know how to play. Orcs are evil. They'll always be evil. They should be evil. There's no exceptions to the rule. And you're woke, and you and your green hair get out of here. And it was really raging online, depending on what community you were in. When that stuff would start bleeding into our discussion community, I would shut it down. I'd be like, no, we're not doing that here. I don't care about any of that stuff. Gamers should be focused on where we're all aligned. And that's having fun around the game table, not who we're sleeping with or who we voted for or, all the other horrible things going on in the world. And, some people took notice that I took a pretty strong stance on that and would tamp it down. I'm like, listen, you can discuss anything you want except for attacking what somebody else wants to play. Unless it's Phil who loves GURPS, you can attack him whenever you want. Right? Um, the
Sorry, Phil.
I'm gonna have to give Phil a free badge and page now. Oh,
Uh,
uh, we have we have a couple GURPS events on the schedule, I think. But
there you go.
anyway, through some of the discussions, because this really pushed some real I won't say philosophical discussions, but some real friendly discussions about gaming and what's good about gaming and the good that's done through gaming and things like that. A couple of the leaders in the community that I administer said, we should run a game convention. I said, oh, we should run a game convention, and he said, tell me what that looks like, and we would go through it, and at the end of the discussion, it would be like, so really, you want me to run a game convention, and you guys want to come to a game convention? Laid
Yeah.
out a few parameters, because I had run game conventions back when you were getting in trouble for having Pokemon cards in the dollhouse, right?
Yeah.
Um,
This is gonna be a good
and
episode.
so I said, well, here's if I were willing to do this, I need a few things. I need help. People were willing to help, and people raised their hands, said they would help. It needs to be about what I'm interested in gaming, which is role playing games, board games, miniatures. It can't be about selling badges. I could go out and I could plunk $10,000 down and have a $10,000 magic tournament, winner takes all, and load the place up. I'm not looking to do that. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not of interest to me. Right? If I'm going to do that, I'll go out and I'll buy a Subaru dealership and sell Subarus instead, because I'm in Vermont, because I know I can sell them there. I said, as long as it reflects like what my interests are, and finally it was, there has to be a do good element to it. Like, we have to do something good with this, and said, if we have agreement, we can start planning. And this was in late 2021, maybe early 2021. So by the time the end of 2021, early 2022 came around, we had something a little concrete. We looked at the calendar, we looked when other conventions were, and we decided we wanted to be in January, even though nobody thought it was a good idea except for me, because I'm looking at when the other conventions are, and the conventions that I feel the customer bases would be the same. And I wanted to be several months away from all of those. So there were 3 other conventions. January was the point of the compass that wasn't taken up, and we started running January. And at its core, it's about the gaming.
Yeah.
And about having fun, and about that alignment that I talked about, where we are on alignment. It's around the game table. It encompasses the oldest of role-playing games, whether there's OD&D games on the schedule, like original D&D wood grain box set rules on the schedule, and there's a ton of all the way up through a ton of 5.5 from 5th edition D&D, and everything in between. Shadow Dark, you mentioned earlier, 300 hours of Shadow Dark on the schedule, and we use all this as a driver to run a charity auction, where we take the money generated from the charity auction and we put it into something called the Gamer Assistance Program, where we help people from the industry or longtime gamers who are having financial difficulties.
Yeah.
And so many people in the gaming industry have to go to like GoFundMe to put roofs on their houses down, because they don't have the money. They're on a fixed income. They're no pensions, this kind of thing. So we've been able to do some good with that. And to that point, I'm very happy the way the convention turned out. And Phil at the end of page, or even during page one, kind of was like poking me, saying, "Hey, I want to be more involved. I want to be more involved. I want to be more involved." He was just a one hand volunteer, and we chatted about it, and he stepped into a leadership role almost immediately, heading into page two, and that's where we're at now. And we continue to add pieces around us, grow the convention, and to try to increase the fun for everybody. And we've got some great staff and volunteers around us, and we keep adding more every day. So that was my driving factor for running it, and really lines up why we continue to do it. I can tell you what the factors aren't. It's not money. It just it ends up, it's not a profit center. But we're holding our own, and we really enjoy it, and it's a daily puzzle every day, especially this time of year when we're getting close to the convention. I like to say that the month before page, similar to Game of Thrones, winter is coming. Month before page, dead uncles are coming, because you start getting messages from everybody who realizes they spent too much money at Christmas, like, oh, I can't make it, or something happens, and it's always a dead uncle. Oh man, my uncle died. So dead uncles are coming, Phil.
See, I hoard all my money during this time so that I have some money to spend when I go to cons.
No, well, Page is a good con to spend your money at. It's a very, you've been there. We curate the vendors room very carefully. Yeah. It's not 40 vendors selling 3D printed tchotchkes.
Well, just to echo some of the things you're saying, that is one thing that I have noticed and I've really loved about this hobby and this community is, there are bad eggs in every community, but there are folks who really do cling to, what I like to say is there's so much more that unites us than separates us, and to focus on those things, that's a great goal, especially in a con, in a place where there is so much diversity of games, of people, of experiences, whatever. It's awesome to see that it feels that way. When I've only been to one page, but I thought it felt like a really different con than some of the other ones I've been to. I went to Gen Con and PAX this year, and there's something special about a con like Page, and I think it is that goal that you guys set out with from the get-go, and it really shows.
I appreciate that. Those are very kind words, and I think even the way we deal with our staff and volunteers, and we explain to them the way we want things to work when they're volunteering on behalf of Page. We have 3 rules with our staff. We call it the 3 Bs. Phil, what are the 3 Bs?
I have to unmute myself. I was muted. I have to unmute myself.
Why? Were you farting? Were you farting? Is that why you were muting yourself?
No, not at all. No.
Wouldn't be the first time on this podcast. So.
Yeah. Huh? Oh, good. Oh, goodness.
You're in good company.
What was it? Be kind, right?
That's 1. Be kind, right?
I remember the third one, which is be firm.
That's right. And the second one is be patient, right?
Be patient.
Be kind.
Be patient.
Patient. Be firm, right? When you're dealing with people, and you kind of hit the nail on the head about there's bad eggs in every community and this and that. It's also easy, not only in gaming but in every aspect of life, to be against people and things. I'm not for
GURPS.
Not for GURPS. I'm not for Donald Trump. I'm not for this. I'm not for that. I don't know. It's easy to be against things. How about we focus on what we can be for, and we want to support, and try to live our lives by hey, let's be for people. Let's be for efforts. Let's be for things, right? Except for Phil, who likes GURPS.
Yeah, I have a very similar philosophy with my channel and with how I approach talking about games. I do poke the bear every now and then that is Pathfinder and 5e, but that's just because I know that it'll make people comment on my videos, so it drives up engagement.
Are you clickbaiting? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, pretty much. No,
Okay.
I
So the title of this video is going to be Jordan explains why he clickbaits.
no one would watch that video. I
Big
guarantee you.
explosion, but there's got to be a big explosion behind you, and
Fire.
like
I,
a downward trending arrow.
I'm burning my fifth edition books with a lighter. That sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
No, but I know even if I do clickbait, quote unquote, I still try to like not really actually do it in the message that I give throughout the video. But that's neither here nor there. But Phil, real quick, I'd be remiss not to at least hear how your side of the story, the part where you get
yeah,
involved, if you want to talk a bit about
yeah.
that, and then we'll kind of wrap things up.
Sure. I go to a lot of gaming conventions, and it was the summer of 2023, I think. I started getting like bombarded with these Facebook ads for this thing, the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. I'm like, what the hell is this? And so I started poking around. I'm like, hold on a second, like this is an RPG heavy con in my backyard, and I don't know anything about it, and I don't know who's running this thing. I don't know anything about it, and I was just like, you know what I mean? I was like, I got closer to the screen. I teach high school for a living, right? So in July, I don't go to work, so I stay up late and I watch stupid YouTube videos or whatever, and I'd be scrolling on the computer that I'm sitting at right now,
He's
and
going through his Spellfire cards late at night
yeah,
during the summer.
right. There you go. Like, yeah. And I just keep seeing these ads like day after day after day because it's all part of Ron's marketing plan. This is before I even knew Ron. And I lurked for a little bit. I was like, I have to go here to see what this is all about. I'm just too dead curious. So I bought it. So I bought a badge, and then I see there's this clarion call that goes out. Hey, we need volunteers. We're looking for volunteers. And message me, or maybe Ron, maybe it was your actual phone number. I can't remember anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably your phone number. And I called, or I texted a message, and I said, listen, like I live not that far away geographically from the con center itself. I live probably about 35 minutes away. Ron's a little further in Jersey, and I can probably volunteer. And I thought to myself, if this is a quality convention and people actually know what they're doing, like this would be a good opportunity to get involved. I do the con circuit. I live the con life. It's just part of. I plan my yearly calendar around going to cons.
He's a Connie. He's a Connie.
I'm a connie.
I'm getting
That's
there.
right.
I feel you.
Yeah, and Gen Con, Gary Con, Gamehole Con, PAX Unplugged. Like I'm there every year, and so let me check this out. So I reach out. Ron calls me a couple days later. We have a conversation on a Saturday afternoon. I remember I was in my car, just dropped my kid off. She's in the marching band at a football game, and we talked for, I don't know, it was a while, about 45 minutes to an hour. And I went down during the con, volunteered every day, did whatever I needed to do, and then we had the post mortem, right? So right after we do a page, I mean, right after we do a page, it's like when the wounds are fresh, we want to start pulling it apart and seeing what went wrong, what went right. And so drove down to Ron's house on a cold Saturday morning with all the rest of the volunteers, and we started pulling it apart. And I thought to myself, I think I can offer more, and I think I want to. And over the course of going to a lot of cons, I've gotten to know a lot of content creators and YouTube talent, just by sheer osmosis and being kind of a talky fellow at cons. I said, I think I can help curate our special guest lists. Let me work on that. And I just started banging out stuff, spreadsheets, this and that, reaching out to people, sending out emails, and I just started getting like just fantastic responses like right away. People that wanted to come, and other YouTube content like Professor Dungeon Master, was a really big early supporter of the con, and of course, just like you probably know, Jordan, this YouTuber knows this YouTuber knows this YouTuber, and it just whisper down the lane, and we started just building a very robust guest list. Ron is cut from maybe the older cloth, perhaps, and knows folks in the early TSR days of what have you. So, what I always like to explain to people when I'm at a con and people like talk to me, this is what I personally feel about Paige is that I feel that Paige is this perfect opportunity for, let's just call it the old guard, if you will, and some of the newer generation of folks where their interaction with RPGs is from a different standpoint because of technology differentials. So we have TSR old guard melding with YouTube content creators in the same space, and what I feel is like a self perpetuation, an organic self perpetuation of the hobby itself, as people that are designers, promoters, content creators, all coming together to get to know each other better, and then help to promote our hobby as we move into the next 50 years of its history. And so I feel like we provide that forum. Like we do a guest dinner on Thursday night, our cheesesteak guest dinner, where it's for special guests and staff and volunteers to come to mingle.
Mm.
And that is a very, very special thing to witness as you see people meeting up with new old friends and then getting introduced to new friends. And I feel like I've heard more than one story of people leaving Page and saying, well, I've got my next project already set up now because I met this person and we talked here and we had dinner and we're really excited about this idea. And I didn't know this person. I knew of them. I knew their work, never met them. Here we are working on this next thing. And in the back, that's going on in the background. And in the foreground, you've got the attendees coming in, getting to play these fantastic games put on by our special guests in a fantastic vendor hall with a world-class charity auction, like literally world-class charity auction. And this year is blockbuster. The items that we will be having on offer for people to bid on for the Gamer Systems program. And so I feel like that's what we've been going for day one. I know Ron gets this question. I know a question I get at cons a lot is, how in the hell have you pulled this off in 3 years? Yeah. And there's no real like magic formula. It's just, it's 365. Ron will tell you, like, this is 365. Every day, him and I are thinking about Paige, working on something Paige.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's got to be a lot of work.
But that's okay. That's okay.
It is a ton of work. It's a ton of work, and we put the work in. That's it. I mean, we put the work in, and I'm not saying other people don't put the work in, but I've spent my life making sure that no one's going to outwork me.
Well,
and in this case, it's just challenging, myself and in turn our staff and volunteers. How can we make this better?
Yeah.
And Phil said we talk every day. How can we make this better? What can we improve upon? And we have short-term goals and long-term goals of things we want to do. And that just goes with constant focus on wanting to make the event as good as it can be.
Well, yeah. And just to quickly, before we end here, to corroborate just two of the points you made there, Phil, I was at my first Page. I'm sitting there, I'm playing a game of Darker Space or Dark Space with the creators who were making that Derek, yeah. Who made the Shadow Dark sci-fi kind of mothership inspired spin-off. And then, I like look over my shoulder and like I think it was like Frank Mincer just walks up to the table and is, just checking out what's going on, and I'm just like, it was such a surreal moment. So, it's that mix of like old and new that you're talking about, just and I wouldn't have even known about the con except that I ran into Baron Durop at a local con that we're both kind of close to. That's a really small one, and he just went, "Dude, what if you're not going to Page? Why are you not going to Page?" And I was
Yeah.
just like, all right, okay, yeah, I'll I'll be there basically.
I'm gonna tell you a story that's gonna make you blush.
I'm
Bill
ready.
comes running up to me at Page. He's like, Jordan's here. No, Jordan, Jordan came to the convention. Jordan's here.
10-hour
And
drive.
I'll be honest. I'm like, Jordan, who? What are you talking about, Jordan? What? He's like, you got to see this guy's. You got to see this guy's show. I mean, Phil's like eating and breathing, and spends every moment when, he's got quote unquote downtime, watching and listening to creators in this space.
Yeah,
And for me, Phil said, my knowledge is a lot with the older creators, the folks from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and we've got know them all, good relationship with them all. Phil really added this. I mean, I'll be honest, I was getting calls from content creators for page one. I got a call from one, and I was a little weird on the phone, a little odd. And I'm driving through a blizzard in December, right around this time. I think probably right around this day, actually, because wife's birthday's coming up, and I always would take her away on her birthday, and we're going up to Lake Placid, New York, and this guy's going on and on and on, like he's going to come, he's going to run all these seminars, he's going to do this, he's going to do that, he's going to do this. I had no idea. So I'm looking at my wife, and it was a content creator with, I don't know, 50,000 followers. I had no clue.
yeah,
So in talking to Phil and seeing the impact that like Professor Dungeon Master had coming to page one, and I was lucky. He and I talked, and I had a little clue who he was. He started to bring in some of the other content creators, but Phil was really the one who's like the advanced scout going out and finding these folks, and it's really brought the convention together. Phil deserves a lot of credit for that.
well, that's awesome to
Yeah, I
hear.
didn't I didn't know I didn't know I got a list together. I remember doing this, writing this, like after I said to Ron I wanted to help with this, and I said, let me get you a list of people I think might be good fits for us. And Ron is not wrong. Like, I live, eat, breathe RPG podcasts and YouTube content all day, every day. Of course I work. Of course I'm married. But when that's like what I do. And so when you see a lot of folks know a lot of folks, and so you know who knows whom. And so I built like this tree, this hierarchy. If you can get this person to say yes, they know this person who knows this person who's worked on this project with this other person, they'll probably say yes too. And so it was like knowing those hierarchies and those connections that that happened, and you build this consensus together where, listen, folks within the content creation industry typically like to be around one another. They are friends and they want to spend time with one another. And when you give them an opportunity to literally do that in a more intimate space, that's not Gen Con or that's not PAX Unplugged. Great shows, go to them every year, but it's huge.
Yeah,
And a show like Page is where they can come. It's in January. You have a hangover from Christmas holidays, perhaps. It's another adrenaline shot in the arm in the middle of winter. And it's right in the beginning of the year, and you get together and you're like, oh damn, like I missed you so much. I didn't see you since Gen Con, which was like 6 7 months ago or whatever. And here they are all together, just hanging out, having a good time, enjoying each other's companies, running some games, meeting their fans, signing autographs, collaborating, and we're happy to provide that for not only them, but for, of course, the attendees that get to enjoy all of that as well.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it shows. Like I said earlier, it's got a different feel to me than some of these bigger cons I've been to. Despite there still being a lot of big names and a lot of games going on, it doesn't have that overwhelming. I had fun at Gen Con, but man, it is a whirlwind. It feels like you
Yeah.
just get sucked around through the crowd, and then it's over. And I just
I
didn't
like
feel
the
that
big
way.
shows. I like the big shows. There's a time and place for the big shows. I'm not one. I'll go to big shows. I'll go to little shows, and I'll have a great time. It's a great time. There's a time and a place for them. We're not a Gen Con. We're not a PAX Unplugged.
Nor do we want to be.
Nor do we want to be.
I was gonna
We're
say,
doing our own thing.
selfishly, I hope it stays at a containable size, but that's very selfishly.
Yeah, and it most likely will. I mean, we still have room for growth, but I don't see this ever getting to the tens of thousands.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think I'm going to have to wrap us up at that, because
Sure.
this is already going to be one of our longest podcasts ever. But I hope if you're listening, you can see why. I mean, I feel like these were some awesome conversations to have, and you guys are awesome folks. And yeah.
Once you cut out all the content about Gurps Phil, it'll trim it right back down to the size that you're used to for your podcast lengths.
Just 10 minutes of Smurfs lore, and then we're good.
Listen, if that doesn't stay, then just lose my contact information.
Awesome. Well, you guys have been a delight to have on here. I look forward to seeing you both at Page. I'm going to be there. Speaking of which, I've got a few games if you're listening and you're going to be there. We got a few Shadow Dart games that still have seats, so go check them out. And yeah, so let's do anything you want to say, to the audience before we go here, that, pitches that you need to get out there, stuff like that, about Page. So,
well, there's still time to get badges. We're not sold out. There's time to get badges, and if you're looking for the opportunity to come to a convention where there's a high probability, whether you're an old school fan and you want to see some of the folks who were the pioneers of the industry, or you love the individuals that are creating new content on YouTube for the gaming space, or in the gaming space, or game designers from today, whether that's Justin Sorois or Kelsey Dion or Erica Lowe, people like that, you're going to be able to interact with these people when you come to Page. We have a very good ratio of attendee to guest ratio, and they're not hiding in green rooms, things like that. And so, yeah, you'll be able to talk to folks and be able to get in with people and actually be able to interact with the people you see online who you follow and you watch their videos. I think that's what I'd like to get across to them, and they can find a website at phillygamingexpo.com. And Martin Luther King Jr. weekend, a little less than a month away now. So to see you there, and this sets in. We just added a special guest in Jordan.
I will be there. So
there you go. His badge was just updated. That means you can get cheesesteaks on Thursday.
Yes, that's why I go to Philly. It's for the cheesesteaks. Awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much for being here. I'll give up my traditional outro here, which is, we'll see you guys next time in the dungeon, no matter what choices you make. Thanks for watching. If you want to stay plugged in to what's going on behind the scenes or support me more directly, please check out either the mailing list or the Patreon. Because let's be honest, YouTube is not always the best about getting notifications to the people who want to see them, and both of these are absolutely free to sign up. Either one is fine. I'm going to be doing more frequent updates for things like the games I'm developing, announcements for when these things go live, and also more things like giveaways and chances to play games with me directly. Check out either one. I appreciate all the support that you guys give. Thank you so much. Do all the YouTube things. And as always, learn, adapt, and grow. We'll see you next time. It doesn't matter what you choose, 'cause either way you lose. There's a quantum ogre just out of sight. And Now it's coming to a head, the very thing you dread. You get ready for the coming fight. Your spells are waning fast, you hit them with your blast. It's the last flickering light. Quantum Ogre Cast. Quantum Ogre Cast.